Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Aviator Updates. If you don't know me, I am Rakesh Negi and I am an aviation enthusiast. Today we'll be discussing about the transformer, its construction and working principle. So let's start. So friends, you must be knowing that in aircraft a number of electrical equipments are there. We will not be discussing about all the electrical equipments in today's session. We'll be just discussing about one of the electrical equipment named transformer. What is transformer basically? A transformer is basically a static or stationary device or apparatus, right? Which transforms the power in one electric circuit to another electric circuit at the same frequency. Next, so let me take an example of a transformer in any commercial jet like Airbus 320 aircraft. So in the electrical system of Airbus 320, we don't have individual transformers. We have units called as transformer rectifier units. So if I talk about the transformer unit only, in the transformer rectifier unit, the input to the transformer is 115 volt AC and the output is 28 volt AC. This is later converted by the rectifier to 28 volt DC, and hence the combo unit called as transformer rectifier unit converts 115 volt AC to 28 volt DC. Okay, now let's discuss about the construction of a simple transformer. Construction. After this, we'll be discussing about the working principle. So in a simple transformer, what do we have? We have a core and windings. Okay, so I'll just draw a core over here. So this is one of the transformer core, suppose. Okay, so this is a core and we have windings. This is one of the winding. Okay, in this limb or leg I am attaching one winding and the other winding is on the other limb. So friends, let us first start learning about the core and then we'll learn about the windings after it. Okay, so let's learn about the core first. The core is made of stampings or laminations. Okay, I'm just taking a paper and considering this paper to be the stamping or lamination of the core of a transformer. So suppose this is one lamination. Likewise, a number of laminations or stampings will be there. Okay, there are different shapes of this stamping. Okay, like it can be L shape and then it can be I shape, U shape, different shapes can be there. Next, what can be the material of this stamping or lamination? Let me tell you friends, this stamping can be made of soft iron or annealed sheet steel or nickel iron or silicon iron. Basically it's steel laminations rich in silicon content. Okay, next thing is, some manufacturers while making transformer cores, what they do is they used to heat treat this lamination or stamping. Okay, and because of which the stampings or laminations attain some characteristics like high permeability, low reluctance. Because of this, the eddy current losses and hysteresis losses are minimized. Note that friends, the eddy current losses, which will be in the form of heat, are minimized because of the laminations. Next, if we talk about the thickness of this lamination, it can be 0.30 or 35 mm. Note that friends, for a 50 Hz transformer, the thickness of one stamping or lamination can be 0.35 mm. Okay, so the core will be having a number of laminations like this. So many laminations will be there. I am just drawing lines to represent number of laminations. Okay, so all these are the laminations. Okay, now let's discuss about the coils. These coils are the inductive coils. Okay, these coils are made of enameled copper. Okay, what about the insulation? Both the windings are insulated from one another and also they are insulated from the core also. Okay, The next thing about the winding is, for theoretical purpose I have just shown you that on these limbs both the windings are mounted separately, but in actual practical power transformer what happens is, first one winding is wound, one of the windings, suppose this winding I have wound on this core, next upon it I'll wound the other winding. Okay, so that is how I'll get both the windings on the same core. And why do we do this? We do this to allow the mutual induction take place easily and also to reduce the distance between the coils. Okay, now let's start learning about the working of the transformer. So before we start the working, okay, note two things. First point is, a current carrying conductor will produce a magnetic field around it. Okay, you must have learned this in your higher secondary. And the other point also you must have learned. The other point is about the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, where it is said that if a conductor is placed in a moving magnetic field, then an EMF will be induced in it. So I hope you have noted both the points. So let's start learning about the working principle of transformer. So which supply I'll be giving to this transformer? Obviously AC. Transformer is an AC or alternating current device, right? It does not operate on DC, right? So AC supply I am giving it. This is the AC supply. I have connected to both of its terminals. Okay, this is a source of input for the transformer. Hence I say that AC input has been connected to the winding. And note that friends, the winding to which input is given is called as the primary winding. Hence the name of this winding is primary winding. Okay, and what about the other winding? Let me tell you right now only. The winding from which the output or electrical energy is collected. Okay, so this winding is called as the secondary winding. Okay, secondary winding. So I hope friends you are clear with primary winding and secondary winding. Okay, I repeat again, the winding to which input is given is called as primary winding, and the winding from which the output electrical energy is collected, or the winding from which the electrical energy is given to the load is called as the secondary winding. Okay, let's come back to our point. So what I did is I have given input to the primary winding. Suppose input to the primary winding is EP. So this is a voltage which I have given to the primary winding. So because of this voltage which I have given to the primary winding, what will happen is a current will start flowing in this primary winding, right? Because the circuit is closed. So a current, that is the alternating current, will start flowing in this primary winding. When current is flowing in the primary winding, what happens friends is, as I have told you, a current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field around it. So here also a magnetic field will be induced. So I am using blue ink to represent the magnetic field around it. So this is the magnetic field. So this magnetic field is produced by the primary current, okay, or the current in the primary winding. Now what does this magnetic field do? Remember that friends, since the current is alternating, the magnetic field is also moving or changing its direction. Okay, so when the magnetic field is moving or changing its direction, what is happening is, if you see, the primary winding is also a conductor only, right? So this magnetic field which is produced by the primary current is in turn cutting the primary winding itself. So when this magnetic field or flux is cutting the primary winding, there will be an EMF which will be induced in this primary winding, and that EMF which will be induced because of this magnetic field is called as the counter EMF or self-induced EMF. Self-induced EMF. Okay, so this counter EMF or self-induced EMF, in some books they used to say it as back EMF also. Okay, I'll just say this as self-induced or counter EMF. So this counter EMF, what does it do is, this counter EMF, suppose I am representing it with EC. Okay, note that friends, this counter EMF is in opposite direction to the primary voltage, and sometimes it can even be equal to the primary voltage. Okay, so what will happen is, there will be a difference between these voltages, primary voltage and the counter EMF voltage. the difference between the primary voltage and the counter EMF will allow just some current or excitation current in the primary winding, which will cause a little flux to be there in the core. Okay, so the flux in the core will be there and that flux will be moving, right? So as of now, how is the flux? Less or more? It will be less. Why is the flux less? It is less because the counter EMF is more. Why is the counter EMF more? Because there is more flux. And from where did the flux came? Because of the primary current. From where did the primary current came up in this winding? Because of the input. Okay, now let's go ahead. So what has happened is there will be an excitation current, though it is less, so hence producing lesser flux. Okay, so that lesser flux, it is alternating, okay, or moving or changing its direction. That magnetic flux which is moving in the core will cut these conductors which is there in the secondary winding. Okay, and because of which an EMF will be induced in the secondary winding. Okay, and suppose that EMF which is induced is ES. Okay, so this ES is the induced EMF in the secondary winding. That's why I have written as ES. Okay, now what we have is we have EP and ES. That means because of the power in one circuit, we have got the power in another circuit at the same frequency. Okay, now let's go ahead. Suppose I connect these two terminals of the secondary winding to a load here. Suppose this is a load. This circuit has been closed now. Okay, when load was not there, the circuit was open, the secondary circuit was open, but when I have connected the load, the secondary circuit is closed. So when it is closed, a current will start flowing in this circuit, right? So current will start flowing in this circuit. So when current will flow in this circuit, what will happen, friends? That current now will produce a magnetic field in the secondary winding, right? Suppose this is the magnetic field. In black color I am showing the magnetic field of the secondary winding. So this magnetic field will try to oppose and neutralize the magnetic field of the primary current. So now what will happen, friends? When this will be neutralized, the primary current will increase, right? Why was the primary current decreased? As I have told you earlier, friends, because of this magnetic field, the counter EMF was produced which was opposite in direction to the primary voltage, and because of which the primary current was reduced. Now to increase the primary current, what I do is I have to reduce the counter EMF. And how to reduce the counter EMF? By reducing its magnetic field. And is there anyone who can reduce the magnetic field of this? Yes, and that is the magnetic field of the secondary current. So that's why I said this secondary winding magnetic field will oppose and tend to neutralize this magnetic field, and when this is done, the primary current will increase. And when the primary current increases, more flux will be there in the core, and when there is more flux in the core, the induced EMF in the secondary winding will be more. Okay, so note one point, friends. If the current in secondary winding is more, then the primary current increases. Why? Because the secondary winding's magnetic field used to oppose the magnetic field of the primary current, because of which the counter EMF is reduced and hence the primary current increases. Okay, now just remember the case when load was not connected. What was the status of primary current? It was less. Why? Because when no load was there, there was no current flowing in the secondary winding, and when there was no current flowing in the secondary winding, there was no magnetic field for the secondary, and hence there was no magnetic field which can oppose the magnetic field of primary current. Okay, that's why when no load is there, the primary current is less, and when load is there, it causes current to flow, and hence the primary current increases. So moral over here is, if secondary current increases, then primary current also increases. Okay, or I can say if I connect load, then primary current will increase. One point which you already know and I haven't told right now here is about the mutual induction. When did it happen? When the EMF was induced in the secondary winding. Okay, so the EMF which is induced in the secondary winding is because of the mutual induction. Okay, now what is this mutual? Mutual means involvement of two. So here is the primary and secondary. So these two are involved. Okay, remember that, friends, these two coils are not connected electrically. There is no electrical contact between them. They are connected magnetically. Okay, how they're connected? The flux which is produced by the magnetic field of this is linked with the secondary. Okay, and because of the changing or alternating nature of this flux, an EMF is induced in this secondary winding. Now let's learn something called as the transformation ratio. To learn about the transformation ratio, suppose in the primary winding there are NP number of turns. Okay, P is the primary, so N turns are there, NP. And suppose the number of turns in secondary is NS. Okay, so NS by NP, this ratio is called as the transformation ratio, represented by R. Okay, what is this? Transformation ratio, right? So transformation ratio is NS by NP, this one. Let me take an example to explain the transformation ratio. Suppose the number of turns in primary is 200 turns, NP is 200, and suppose the number of turns in secondary is 1000, NS how much? 1000. Then what will be the transformation ratio? R is equal to NS by NP, right, which is equal to 1000 divided by 200. 0 0 cancel, so 2 5s are 10. So transformation ratio is 5, right? That means, as per this example, whatever voltage will be there in the secondary will be 5 times as great as in the primary. Okay, so this is about the transformation ratio. So what did we learn here through the transformation ratio is that the output voltage is more in this example and the input is less. So in this case, why did we have output voltage more? Because more number of turns are there. Okay, such a type of transformer in which the number of turns in secondary is more, producing more voltage, okay, is called as step up transformer. Step up transformer. Okay, what happens in a step up transformer? The input voltage is less and the output voltage is more. So I hope you are clear with step up transformer. And what if the number of turns are lesser in secondary and more in the primary? In that case, the voltage which will be induced in the secondary will be lesser. Okay, and that type of transformer is called as the step down transformer. Okay, so I hope you are clear with step up and step down transformer. In step up transformer, the output voltage will be more, and in step down transformer the output voltage will be less compared to the inputs. Okay, now what did we notice over here is that the number of turns are proportional to the voltage. That is, the NS, number of turns in secondary, is proportional to the ES, right, and number of turns in primary is proportional to the EP, that is the primary voltage. Okay, and if I take a ratio of both of them, as per the transformation ratio, we have NS by NP is equal to ES by EP. I can write R over here, that is transformation ratio is NS by NP can be equal to ES by EP. Next, as I have told you friends in the beginning, that whatever power is there in the input circuit is transformed into power in the output circuit at the same frequency. Okay, that is, the input frequency and output frequency are always the same. So I'll write down that point here. Frequency input is equal to frequency output. Okay, this also you have to remember. This also you have to remember. Next, we know that power is equal to V into I, right? So I'll use this area. So we know that the power input, I am using PI, is equal to power output in a transformer, right, at the same frequency which we have discussed just now. We know that power is V into I, that is voltage into current. So what is the input voltage here? EP. And what is the input current over here? Suppose the input current over here is, that is the primary current, which I have not designated, though it should have been designated as IP, and the current in the secondary as IS. Okay, so let's continue with this. Input power is voltage into current, so voltage I have written into current is IP. So likewise output power is ES into IS, right? Now if I do some mathematics and find out ES by EP, I am bringing it down here, ES by EP will be equal to IP by IS, right? According to this. Okay, so now let me take this ES by EP, okay, and compare it here with ES by EP. Then I can write here IP by IS, right? How did it come up, friends? This is already clear to you how IP by IS is equal to ES by EP, because of the input power being equal to the output power, right? So that's why IP by IS is equal to ES by EP. Now if I compare this ES by EP with this one, okay, so this, it came out because of the transformation ratio which we learned here, right? So this transformation ratio, which is a number of turns in secondary by number of turns in primary, is equal to ES by EP, which is equal to IP by IS. Hence I can extend the formula, this one, NS by NP can be equal to ES by EP, or NS by NP can be equal to IP by IS. Okay, so this is all about the transformation ratio. Okay, now let me tell you some important feature about the transformer. Okay, suppose you have connected this transformer to a power supply source like this, okay, and there is no load connected to it. Okay, so note that, friends, we can leave the transformer in this situation and it is okay. Why I am saying this okay, friends? It's because when transformer is left in such a situation connected to the power supply, what happens is the primary current is less. Why it is less? Because of the inductance, because of which the power which is consumed by the transformer will be less. If you leave the transformer connected to a power supply source, it will not consume much power supply. Okay, in fact it will consume very less power supply. Why is it so? It's because of the inductance of the primary. What was that? When input is given to the primary, that current flows through this winding and produces the magnetic field. That magnetic field used to produce a counter EMF, and that counter EMF used to oppose the primary voltage. And when it opposes the primary voltage, remember that, friends, it is almost equal to and opposite in direction to the primary voltage. What will happen in that case? The primary current will be very less. Okay, hence it is an interesting feature of transformer that you can leave it connected to the power supply without connecting any load. And yes, it is applicable in practice also. So friends, let me just summarize what all we have learned today. We have learned about the transformer construction and working. In construction, we learned that the transformer has a core and windings, and of course there will be a container, which I haven't explained. The container will be enclosing all of these three things: primary winding, secondary winding, and the core. So what is the core made of? The core is made of annealed steel or soft iron, silicon iron, or nickel iron, okay, rich in silicon. This core is having properties of high permeability, low reluctance, and because of which we are having less eddy current loss and hysteresis loss. I mean to say, both of the eddy current loss and hysteresis loss are minimized. And it is made of stamping or laminations, thickness of which can be 0.30 or 0.35 mm. And for a 50 Hz transformer, the thickness can be 0.35 mm. Now, after that, we have learned about the primary and secondary windings, where we learned that both the primary and secondary windings are not connected electrically but are connected magnetically. And then we have also learned that they are insulated from one another and also from the core. They are made of enameled copper. After that, we have learned about the working of the transformer, in which what we have learned that when we connect the input power supply, it is the EP, to the transformer, the current IP starts flowing in it, and because of that current, this magnetic field will be produced. So this magnetic field then produces a counter EMF which opposes the primary voltage. And when this happens, the primary current reduces. And when the primary current reduces, the flux which is produced is less in the core and linked with the secondary. Now, whatever be the flux produced, though it is less, that less flux, since it is of changing nature or alternating nature, it used to cut the secondary windings, and on the secondary windings an EMF is induced, that is a secondary EMF ES, right? And when ES is induced, what happens after that? if I connect a load, then its circuit is completed. When circuit is completed or closed, current starts flowing in the circuit, that is the secondary current Is. That secondary current produces a magnetic field of its own, and that magnetic field, interesting thing is, it used to oppose the primary current magnetic field, and this used to kill the counter EMF. And when counter EMF is killed, the primary current will increase, more flux will be there, and more EMF will be induced. Okay, and then we have drawn the conclusion that if current flowing in the secondary winding is more, then the primary current is also more. Why? Because the counter EMF is dead, it's not there. Okay, and after that we have discussed about the transformation ratio, where we have learned that the transformation ratio is the ratio of the number of turns. Okay, number of turns of secondary to the number of turns in primary, which is equal to ES by EP, okay, which is equal to IP by IS. Know that, friends, in the transformer, the input power is equal to the output power, which I have shown you here. Input power is equal to output power at same frequency, right? That is voltage into current, voltage into current. So I have taken out this ratio, IP by IS is equal to ES by EP. Then I have kept, in place of ES by EP, I have kept IP by IS here, and that's how we have come to the conclusion that the transformation ratio can be NS by NP is equal to ES by EP, which is secondary voltage to the primary voltage, which is equal to primary current to the secondary current. So I hope you are clear with this transformation ratio. And also we have discussed about step up and step down transformer. So what is a step up transformer, friends? A step up transformer is the one which used to increase the voltage, or a transformer in which the voltage in secondary is more. Okay, and after that we have learned about the step down transformer. A step down transformer is one in which the output in secondary winding will be lesser compared to the primary. So as we know, input power and output power are same at the same frequency, right? Then in case of step up transformer, voltage in the secondary will be more, current will be less. Okay, and at the same time, if we see the input side of the step up transformer, voltage will be less and current will be more. So this is how the power is constant. In case of step down transformer, what happens, friends? In case of step down transformer, voltage in the input side will be more, as there will be more number of turns, okay, but current will be less. And if we see the output side of the step down transformer, since there will be less number of turns, the voltage will be less in a step down transformer, and the current will be more in that case. So friends, I hope you are clear with today's topic. I'll come up again with a new topic in my next session. Till then, enjoy learning and thank you.